we made wine for the last 15 years in a perfectly fine place, but it was very small industrial park. And you can never really focus on the task at hand. You're always dodging forklifts or hoping the drains didn't explode, those types of things.
Cool stuff.
Just, this and that, that and the other. Here we've really separated it. So we process outdoors. So when we're de-stemming or we're sorting, whatever we're doing, it's happening outdoors. When we're in here, we're watching ferments, we're tasting, we're smelling, we're really focused on the task at hand inside. It's heaven here. It's so nice.
You seem so happy about it. That's really good. Happy winemaker, happy wines, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So help us understand a little bit. So there's the 3 projects, but how are they connected and different? Or why the 3? Why not just put them all under one label?
Yeah, so what really defines our brands is that we have an owner in Mr. Kroenke who owns some of the greatest vineyards in the world. So we are grower producers in the sense that we grow our own fruit from the time we plant the vineyard till the time we harvest the fruit. And we control the entire process through putting it in a bottle and putting a cork in it and sending it out to the world. We own 2 very specific vineyards. Jonata is this 600-acre kind of a sand dune in the middle of Ballard Canyon where everything grows and everything's happy, and it's this really unique parcel, unique part of the world. The Hilt is equally singular, possibly even more bizarre in this world, in the sense that it's this 4,000-acre property out by the ocean. It's a diatomaceous earth mountain, basically, where the wind howls, and it's just an evil place to spend time, but a wonderful place for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay to live in peace and harmony. But, so those are both estate vineyards, estate projects, Pinot and Chardonnay at the Hilt, the entire Noah's Ark at Jonata. And then the Paring has always been kind of an offshoot of those brands, from younger vines, from vineyards that produce wines that are a little bit more approachable. They don't require, 5 years in your cellar or a 48-hour decant.
They're the everyday delicious wines that you just crush.
Yes, exactly. Tuesday night with grilled chicken kind of stuff.
Totally, and it makes good sense. Of course, you're telling me that that there's a lot of individual. Are they hassling you in there?
Oh, no, it's just Jose.
Hi, Jose.
How are you?
So the terroir, the vineyard sites are super unique and individual, and they have their own personalities and that kind of thing. So the wines, of course, express themselves to be unique in their own right. But what I really like about this discussion that we're having right now is we are going to talk about some music that you prepared or sent me via email, and actually put it all together into a Spotify playlist. There's a lot of expression in your choices, so I kind of want to hear why.
Yeah, I was so excited with your question. I love fresh takes, because I can talk about the pH and the TA and the depth of the soil and the rock formations. But at a certain point, I'm a music person. I'm a movie person. I have this bizarre photographic memory for old, terrible movie lines, which is absolutely useless, I can tell you. But I've always connected with music, or with wine. I've always thought about it in musical terms.
Yeah.
And so your question was so much fun. And it took me 2 seconds just to shoot that back. I was like, oh yeah, this
so
is
awesome.
that.
I love it too.
But the personality of music, and our wines are so full of personality, and they're such unique characters that love it. Love the conversation.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
So tell me, what was the tune I put on the Hilt last time? Because I have a different one today.
Oh, really? Okay, so you did Reckoner.
Oh, yeah. Look, to me, the Hilt Pinot Noir is, in one word, is nuanced and complex. It has, like we always talk about, Pinot Noir can be kind of like sugar and spice and everything nice. It can be red fruit and kind of simple and lack structure. And, you can drink it and kind of forget you had anything, which to me is not doing justice to Pinot Noir, because Pinot is...
It's not, no, this wine is not forgettable, though.
No. And it to me, that's not, Pinot isn't an easy grape in any way, shape, or form. It has elbows, it has sharp edges, it has a velvet texture, but it needs It needs something else. So for us, our vineyards always give us what we call the dark side of Pinot, and that I refer to as the hint of corruption, which is something that kind of, it pulls you in. It's a complexity. It's not all black fruit. There's also black pepper spice. There's a real gamey quality. There's a resinous, smoky quality. And to me, it succeeds based on its complex layers. And Reckoner by Radiohead, I mean, I don't know if there's a more perfect song out there.
No, because it's like sexy and kind of out of body and just like very ethereal, but not too, not too like frou-frou at all. It's still got like a lot of backbone and like they mean it.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's incredibly harmonious. But if you really want to dissect it, it's these very kind of divergent pieces that come together to make something whole and complete and very balanced. And to me, that wine is the definition of that. It still is pleasure, right? Wine has really good. Yeah, like you can listen to like, Philip Glass, or you can listen to Arvo Part, like all these incredible composers whose music isn't always fun to listen to. It's always exceptional, but it's not always fun to listen to. Yeah. Wine can be very complex. Wine can be very compelling. Wine can be very sensual. But at the end of the day, it has to be delicious, or else there's no point. So that's why Reckoner to me was the ideal match.
Yeah, I love it. But you said you also have another song for it today.
Oh, it depends on the day, the hour, my mood.
Maybe we'll keep this playlist like a moving target. So I can keep adding things to it as you come. You'll just have to message me and be like, put this on there today.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's never a snapshot. It's always a moving picture.
Well, that's awesome. And I do always like to open multiple bottles so you can taste things side by side, but you could have a whole playlist for just one bottle, and it just kind of like expresses the different moments, right? Because it's not just the bottle, it's like where you are and how you feel and who you're with and the music you're listening to, and your wine glass becomes a speaker that you're like getting this whole new experience from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Wine, yeah.
And and to that point, you also when we get over to the Todos, you actually sent 2 different songs, and I really liked this because they're super different. And that's what's so cool about like exactly what we're talking about is like the wine can go in multiple different directions, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be driven by the food or like any other aspect of like the sensory experience. But when you're like adding, so the 2 songs, as I should just tell them, Higher Ground, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and or Hung Up on My Baby, and that's Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes. Yeah, look, that was a fun one for me because Todos, just the background of Todos is it's every grape we grow at Jonata. It's really, at the end of the day, it's the story. It's everything and everyone that happens at that ranch. On our 82 acres, we have Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, Viognier, Grenache, Syrah, Sangiovese, Merlot, Cab Franc, Cab Sauv, Petit Verdot, and Petit Syrah. Right? It's easier to tell people what doesn't grow there.
Yeah.
It's this wonderfully diverse kind of playground of grapes. It's incredible. So what happens with Todos is that it's the story of everything we do. People ask us, what do you do at Jonata? We make Todos. It speaks of a place. And to me, it's full of soul. It's full of funk. It's full of all the good things in life, like those 2 songs.
Yeah.
But to me, the real connection between those 2 is that both of those songs are like the most soulful expression of a place. Like with the Chili Peppers, like Stevie Wonder's song is Stevie Wonder. The guts it takes to cover a Stevie Wonder song.
No kidding. And make it your own like that.
And make it your own. Yeah. And to me, the beauty of that recording is it's fun and it's hilarious and it's funky and it's like the Chili Peppers are the greatest.
Yeah. I wrote down like just a couple words of like what came to mind right away. And it's just like a party. Like it's like you're pumping up,
Totally. And that's a huge part of it. And that the Todos is what you drink. It's the crowd pleaser. It's what people really want. It's hedonistic. It's voluptuous. But to me, the Chili Peppers and Higher Ground, it speaks to LA in the 90s. Like it actually speaks to a time and a place, like a bottle of Todos. That's just an amazingly cool song. And to me, it captures, Memphis in the 70s and the feeling of the 70s and everything. And it's a time and a place again in a recording like ours is a time and a place in a bottle. And
it's so cool. Yeah. And I have a 2014 vintage, but really just like the song is, it is a snapshot capture of that specific year and this expression of the fruit and all the different, like harmony of all the different grape varieties that you're putting in here. Cause Todos means all or everything, right?
Exactly. It's everything and everyone. It's a really fun little wine we've made forever. And, you know, we just bottled our 16th version of it or our 15th version, sorry. And it's a really fun learning process for us in the sense that we've picked up things along the way, which I never would have guessed, you know, like Syrah doesn't play well with others. Syrah is like kind of a bully. It's kind of got some kind of, I don't know. It's a bit of a tough grape. So you have to invite. You can't invite Syrah to a Cabernet party. You have to make a core of Syrah, like this big, rich, kind of dense, chewy core, and then you have to invite everybody else to play within that world, and that is a challenge for the tasting and blending. But at the end of the day,
it's like the Peppers covering Stevie Wonder.
It's gutsy. Yeah. It's
gutsy. I love that. And I'm sure that like year to year, the blend changes depending on what's going on. It's just like, so that's a fun kind of thing for you, I'm sure, is like you're the chef or the, you know, the one producing this like harmony in the end, and it really becomes a composition.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no recipe. I mean, the blends are, blending the Todos is I wouldn't wish it on anybody. My team and I go through it. We're getting better at it. We work very closely together on that blend, and it's a doozy. And it's the most gratifying, and that's certainly our house favorite wine. Nothing comes close.
Okay, so let's go over to the pairing. We got two more, and these are brother-sister wine, or however you want to refer to it. But we have the red and the Sauvignon Blanc. And I love, I guess we'll taste the red and just leave the Sauvignon Blanc for the last, but I love this song by the Rolling Stones.
That song is one of the most powerful songs ever recorded. And the way they recorded it with the fade and the way that guitars, I mean, that is perfection. What I like about it, what I pulled when I was thinking about the pairing red, is that's a wine that really, to me, sings, it kind of captures the essence of what makes Cab so great, which is not the simple side of Cab. It's not just about plush velvet fruit. It's really about structure. It's about herbaceousness. It's about dusty tannin. It's about a wine that you don't forget, that sticks on your palate and lingers, but is forgiving at the end of the day. And Street Fighting Man is gritty, and it's perfect rock and roll, literally. Yeah. But everything plays so well together. Like, you know, God, I mean, everyone, even, you know, like, are always this great rock band because they manage to play in unison, and they're all such different characters, right? And to me, all the four grapes we have in that blend with Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot, kind of in this wine are reminiscent of the Stones and the way they get along, and the way that Cabernet is the backbeat, and it's a bit of a stretch on that one, but to me, whenever I hear that song, it makes me think of wines like that, like sincere, powerful, dusty, awesome wines.
So I was like, okay, this is different.
Jerry Jeff?
Yeah, but I love it. It's like takes me back to a place I just wasn't expecting that, because I read the rest of them and I was like, oh. But it's awesome because it's everything. It's like so like just very like I want to be driving in the car with the windows down and have this album on, and it's epic. Perfect.
And yeah, it makes you want to be in Austin, Texas.
Sunny day though, and that's what this wine's for.
It is, absolutely. That's a big part of it. To me, what I love about Jerry Jeff and what I love about this wine specifically is there's a just kind of being who you are. And that wine is, I mean, it's a unique Sauvignon Blanc in this world. It's remained consistent since day one. It has this, I mean, it's so unique. It has, because we picked the Sauvignon Blanc over a really long period of time, you get layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. So I worked in New Zealand back in the early 2000s, and I learned from Doug Weiser and Adrian Baker, these great winemakers, that Sauvignon Blanc doesn't get its comeuppance. Like, nobody gives it that much respect for some very odd reason. If you've ever had like tremendous Bordeaux Blanc, it's shocking to me that more people don't talk about it. But so what you do, or what we do now, based on my time in New Zealand, is we'll pick the same block day after day after day after day after day. And what you get is, the first pick you get is really unripe, and it's green and it's hard, but it's full of acid.
Yeah.
It's very one-dimensional. On its own, it would probably shatter a bottle. Like, you don't want to drink it on top. The next day you pick it and you're like gone into maybe green apple. There's some pleasure, but it's still pretty hard. You keep going, and then you get into tropical fruit, you get into passion fruit, you get into mango. By the end, you're picking, 7, 8 days later, 9 days later.
Yeah.
And you're picking basically what tastes like candied pineapple. And you make that wine, and it's too much on its own. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And what you end up doing is you put them together, and you get this like remarkable, sum is greater than the whole of its parts. Whole is greater than the sum of its parts. How do you say that?
The whole is greater
the
than
sum
the
is greater
sum
than the whole. Is that right?
I don't know. I know what you mean though.
I think I've been misusing that quote for a very long time. That's
okay. It's just one of those things, not that important. And I know what you mean.
But
and the wine, it really is, because I actually have this at room temperature. It did that on purpose because I really like to just get but I won't do that with most Sauvignon Blanc, just because it tends to just leap out of the glass and just salt your nose. And this is such a great, tropical, delicious, sunny day wine. I'm definitely having this over the weekend. I think I'm going to go camping, and it's put that playlist on, and it's the perfect thing. And you don't need this necessarily food either. It's just this is crushable. I'd have this for breakfast.
Yeah, and absolutely. It makes for a very interesting breakfast, I will tell you.
I think you are having this for breakfast.
I'm having Chardonnay for breakfast, to be fair.
Fair, either way.
But so the thing I wanted to talk about, though, really was, if you listen to Viva Terlingua, the album by Jeff Walker, if you listen to just a song, if someone said just put, whatever it might be, Desperados Waiting for a Train, whatever song it is off that album, you're like, oh, it's a really good song.
Yeah.
But kind of like with the Sauvignon Blanc, if you take it as a whole thing with all those layers, with some great songs, some songs that are a little too far, whatever it might be, at the end of the day, you're left with the sensation of listening to that album, that's the greatest album. I'm not going to finish that, but it's certainly one of the greatest albums ever produced and recorded.
Yeah.
And, if you just heard one of the songs, it's okay.
Yeah.
But as a whole, the Paring Sauvignon Blanc is like that. It's all those layers and then a little dollop of Semillon on top for a little bit of fat kind of richness. It over delivers, and it always mystifies us. I mean, it's just such a fascinating blend.
And I'm also going to post this playlist, and I hope that when you have a brilliant pairing thought, that I can add to it, because I think it's so awesome.
Oh, I've got a bunch. You know what I would love, by the way? I know there's amazing bands in Colorado, and I'm just out of touch. I know a handful of them, but if you come across stuff that I need to listen to in Colorado, albeit it reminds you of these wines, or the band is just phenomenal. I mean, there's just always so much musical energy in that state. Let me know, because I'm such a classic-minded. I never listen to what's happening now. If there's great music coming out right now, let me know.
I know that'll happen. It's such a fun conversation, because we haven't done this before, and I think about it a lot. So I'm so happy that we got to do this, and I'm so grateful to you for your time. I know you have a busy schedule and a big day ahead, so thank you.
And my pleasure. Great to talk to you. Give my love to Laura Larson if she's on this call. And anyways, such a pleasure to talk music and wine. Go drink some Sauvignon Blanc for breakfast. Great advice.
Will do. Thank you, Matt. Have a great day.
Be safe. Be good.